Welcome back to the Nazarene Nerd Podcast. I'm Dave, the Nazarene Nerd, and today I have with me again Andrea.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a different in here since you've last been in. I mean, the video you guys are seeing isn't too much different than what has been, but everything else is different.
I think the last time I was here, it was scorching hot outside.
Yeah, so I had to try to get the AC on,
and today it's freezing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I definitely have a lot more to do, but I finally got the bar in there. I got a fireplace that's going to be definitely redone. I got to bump it up some, make it a little taller, and get a chimney on there. I'm wanting a dragon head there. I want to put a dragon head right in the, like, get the chimney to go up, put it right dragon head, big.
Where would you find a dragon head? Like a nice one.
Wizards of the Coast, I guess.
So like D&D. Some specialty place.
Yeah, but they're like $500.
Okay. What if you got someone to like paint you one that was really, you know what I mean? Or do you want like?
I mean, whatever. As long as it looks good, I'm open to anything really.
Okay. I might know someone.
Okay, because my biggest issue is I see a bunch of them, but they're like that big.
You want like something that says
this is an actual dragon.
What's
head.
up?
Yeah, this is
okay.
Like this was like this wide, a big dragon.
Yeah,
that's what I'm.
We have to look twice. Like, is that a real dragon?
Yeah, and what's funny is my wife said that if I found something good enough, that she'd actually would consider putting one in the house too.
Oh my!
Yeah, I'm like, heck yeah. We went to.
This is turning into a lifestyle.
Yeah. If I could, I would.
Okay. Well.
But I wouldn't go out and that's what her and I get. Not into arguments about but she likes the goth look, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't go out wearing my medieval getup just because I can. I mean, I'd wear it to Ren fairs, all that, but I wouldn't just go out and
because it's like Tuesday and you're out of milk.
Yeah,
you just need to run over town. You wouldn't get.
I mean, I would go out in Crocs and PJs, but I'm like,
okay.
I don't know if that's any better or not. So,
a lot less work.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I never wore sweatpants. I didn't like the way they looked on dudes.
Oh my God, they're like life now.
And I was like, I'm not wearing Crocs. And it's funny. Do you know the origin story of Crocs?
No, no.
Have you seen the movie Idiocracy?
No.
Really? Have you ever heard of it?
No, but I will look it up.
So when Crocs were made, there was this movie called Idiocracy, which it kind of goes along with society today, which is hilarious. This dude gets frozen in time, and somebody else does who kind of is going after him, and then he gets unfroze. I think it's like 100 years in the future, and everybody is stupid. I mean, like really dumb. Where he says, "Well, 2 + 2 = 4." One of those like a simple math thing, and then they're like, "You are the smartest person alive."
Okay.
And so they wanted shoes that looked dumb enough that people who couldn't tie shoes anymore and would just slide things on, made of rubber basically, like a kind of insane style, wore. So they made Crocs for this movie.
Yeah, they nailed it.
And they became what they are. And I in high school was like, I would never wear Crocs. And then
I do not own a pair. I refuse to own a pair. My husband has a pair. My son wears them. They're mostly, they say, they're for like kayaking or whatever.
Oh, they're every day.
No, I think it's a lifestyle. Oh, I do. I believe it's a complete lifestyle.
These ones have fur in them, so I can wear them outside the winter time.
Yeah, because your winter ones.
I used to have like a pair of slippers that had like just a flat sole on the bottom, like it was rubber, and I wore them outside, and I wore the crap out of them. And I'm like, these aren't made for outside.
Yeah.
But I saw these. I'm like, oh, I'm getting them. I have like 3 pairs of these.
Well, they say you can take that strap and put it to the back, and then you put them in like 4-wheel drive or whatever. Yeah.
Off-road mode.
Off-road mode. Yeah. That's right. I'm ready for some business. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But definitely check out the movie. It's hysterical.
I will. Idiocracy.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to get away with it today. Kind of like The Ringer. You've seen that one with John Knoxville. You wouldn't be able to get away with something like that today.
Okay.
For sure. Okay. But it's one of those.
Gotcha.
But it's a funny movie. I'm glad to have you back on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
As an update, since you were the first person I had on here.
Yeah.
And the video worked out for what, 10, 15 minutes, and then it was just audio?
Yeah.
Staring at the roof.
Yep.
And now, big boy steps.
No, yeah, you're growing up here. Look at you.
Nice camera. These were one of my favorite things to add on, these Rode pop filters, just to make them look blue.
Okay. Okay, I get you.
Yeah, they just kind of pop on there, which I love blue. And this is one of my favorite colors. And I saw this cord. I'm like, I'm going all out. Like I told you,
good for you. Do it. Heck yeah.
Now,
do it.
So what are you up to now? And
I'm up to a lot, but really not much. So excuse me. Back in January, well, actually before January, I decided to take my son out of school. So I'm homeschooling. I love it.
Is it a challenge?
No,
Really?
no, it's
What grade's he in?
fourth, but
Okay.
he has some learning difficulties or challenges, or and so when he was in school, it was a lot of like he did have an IEP, and there was a lot of back and forth like with teachers and you know his special education lady, and then his special education teacher, and then his regular teacher, and then a principal, and I'm kind of at a point in my life, like I want to address something once,
Hmm.
I don't want the power they say you have with like your kid having an IEP. Like, I don't feel that. I don't want to feel that, So, we had about, I don't know, too many meetings over the same thing. You know what I mean? And so I was just like, I'm done.
Asked how many different ways.
Same. I'm
Oh,
very
not
I'm
even any
very blunt.
variations.
No, I haven't changed. I'm very blunt. I'm very business. Like, especially when it comes to my kid and his education. I mean, I do want him to grow up to be semi successful in life. And I think his dad and I were kind of laying the groundwork out for that with what we do. But, and that's another thing too, is I'm not hating on the school district or anything like that because I know they're up against it.
There's
But
always give and take to it. I know when I was in school, I tell you what, the grade school has become a different entity since I was in grade school to now my son. Especially seeing that his teacher, I graduated with her sister.
yeah.
It's like it's so weird. Like you look like an adult
Mm-hmm.
and you look like a teacher, but when I remembered you, you
Mm-hmm.
were yay tall and
Mm-hmm.
never said a word to you. Sweet lady,
Mm-hmm.
but most of those teachers in there were terrified of my mother. Now
Oh,
my
okay.
brother had learning disabilities, just mostly just he couldn't learn as fast as people.
Mm-hmm.
They would do timers, whatever. He ended up stabbing himself in the head with a pencil
Oh
because
no.
his little timer went off and he freaked him out. But he had some challenges and some teachers didn't work with him. Man, my mom would come in there one time and everything changed.
See, and that's what I didn't want it to be. I know I have that presence. I know, you know what I mean? I get it, but I don't want to be the difficult one. I don't want to be the difficult parent. When my daughter was, when she was growing up, I was the parent that if I called, there was an issue. Other than that, you never heard from me, So I didn't want to, like I said, to be the difficult parent. I didn't want to flex any muscles that I just didn't feel like flexing, And so, and I don't want to complain about things. I don't want to constantly complain about things and be annoyed. So I have two like really good friends that have homeschooled their kids and has been successful for them. And my one friend, Christy, she listened to me for probably about 2 years, like just wah, 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 and mad. And then I one was like the very last email that was sent. And there was a whole kasha of things that went on prior to. And yeah, and it's been great. Like it's been seeing how smart he actually is and how he's not as delayed, I mean, I, I think sometimes in maybe the public education system, the IEP kids, however you want to call them, learning challenged or whatever, push them through, get a little extra money for them,
Mm-hmm.
justify keeping them back, opposed to seeing their strengths and letting them, see where they fly. But again, in the school's defense, they're up against it. There's funding. There's, just everything that I mean, seems like is about to be dismantled now.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and hopefully it's not so much like the worry that everyone is, oh, we're just get rid of it completely and that's no, it needs reformed.
mhm.
Everyone back how many years ago we need police reform. Well, there needs to be training done in a lot of cases, but also we need public education reform.
Yeah.
Standardized testing is, I would say, notorious in our schools for ruining kids and whatever. When I was in school, I would ask, as soon as we had to go to the cafeteria for a PSSA or a Keystone, I was like, do we need to pass this to graduate? As soon as they said no, all right, here you go. I'm done. I don't
Yeah,
was never
yeah.
worried about you guys getting funding. I just want out of here. This
Hmm.
doesn't mean anything to me.
Right, right. And
And
then it seemed like too, from what I mean, like I said, my son wasn't at the standardized testing yet. I think he would have been this year, but it seemed from what I understood from other parents is that they're teaching to the standardized test.
hmm
So so one of the cool things that I've seen about my son is critical thinking that he's been doing,
the how to think and not what to think.
yeah, how to think. And and like me nudging it along a little bit, but
I mean,
just
your mother, that's you have the right to do
well,
so.
and I mean I'm homeschooling him, so
Yeah.
it's kind of part of the it's part of the gig,
Yeah.
but I noticed like with math and stuff, just an example with math. He, like I said, I've noticed, and him do before it was me explaining to him like, hey, you're not going to do these problems in your head, so write it down, and then we worked through it and stuff. And now watching him do it without me prompting him to do it has been pretty cool. When he was in public school, okay, one of the gripes was he's in fourth grade, and the homework that would get sent home from his special education teacher was like single digit addition and subtraction. And I remember calling in, I'm like, how's he in fourth grade if this is what he's doing?
Yeah.
These other kids are like, it's fractions and, multiplication and stuff like that. And well, this is just something that he, we're just starting him off. We're going to build. Well, no, they never did. And now, I mean, like I said, just him doing like number lines, decimals, fractions, just and figuring it out himself, I mean, yeah, he'll yell for me for, if he has a problem or whatever, but like watching him, bloom and you know what I mean? It's been super cool. So I don't know. I don't know.
That's very interesting. I know that if it wasn't for like the money issue before my son even went to school, we wanted to homeschool him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people are like, oh, well, then he's not going to be like all the other kids. I'm like, yeah, that's the point.
That's what my friend Christy said too. Yeah. She's
That's,
got 5 kids that she homeschooled.
I
And
mean,
like, and they're not like my son does an online
mhm.
program. It's called Excellus. It's really cool. Like none of the videos that I've seen are like over 10 minutes long. They watch the video and then they do like a quick quiz, like 5 questions. And if they fail it, they do a thing called a vectored instruction where they bring a whole new teacher in and then they explain the same thing, but maybe a little bit different. And then they do the quiz again and he's always gotten through it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I definitely the education system and obviously you've been out a lot longer than I have, but even when I was in there, I hated math. I
Mm-hmm.
never liked math. I'm definitely better at it now that I'm out of high school. I hated science. I didn't really like history, but I know that ever since getting out, and now I've got a complete different viewpoint of what
Mm-hmm.
I knew in high school. I mean,
Well,
it's
now math is money.
yeah, yeah,
It's money and bills.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't need to know a squared plus b squared equals c squared,
Right.
but I need to know I make this much
Mm-hmm.
as a Christian. 10% that is my gross income is tithe. So then I have these bills, what I have
Mm-hmm.
left over. Or we
Yeah.
want to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and but I still like I don't use algebra.
Right.
I don't use geometry.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
I use
straight
interest rates, so I'm using percentages, and yeah,
yeah.
if I want to budget,
And even so, my phone, I can be like, all right, what is 100 minus 13%? My phone does it for me.
Well, that was one of the that was an interesting thing that was presented to us prior to him being homeschooled. Was they were like, we can just let him use a calculator. I'm like, if he's doing single digit addition and subtraction, like, no, I want him to know that.
Yeah.
Like, I want him to know that off the top of his head, or just whatever. He should. He doesn't need a calculator for that.
hmm
So again, like I said, I'm really happy with it. I'm happy with the program that I picked. It's pretty cool to be home with him. He plays sports. He's going to start the MMA class up here in Shirleysburg. So
Oh, the one that my mom said what'd she say? Something on the lines of it's the satanic martial arts, whatever, because that big symbol has a bunch of triangles and points or whatever.
Oh,
And
God.
she she's like,
I doubt that's like any kind of
no,
subliminal meaning.
no, but
It
she's
probably
like,
was
it's
just like,
one of them
yeah.
symbols or whatever. I'm like, okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean, you get, I'm not into yoga or anything like that, but I mean, there's stretching and stuff like that. There's the joke that like as a Christian, oh, you can't do a downward dog. As soon as you do a yoga pose, you can get possessed by a demon or something like
Oh, God.
that. I mean, you call it what you want, but stretching is good for you, whatever. And
Yeah.
self defense and martial arts. If my brother took it for a little while, he just got bored with it. But things I wish I could go back and do. Martial arts would be one of them.
Yeah.
Definitely, I wouldn't go to college, but I go to trade school and stuff like that. But
Yeah. Well, I think ever since like the election, I think there's been more of this like Dana White, like the guy from the UFC. He's been just everywhere. And he had said, I saw an interview. He was like, you can teach a kid, and my daughter did karate, but you can teach a kid basketball, baseball, football. That's great. But when you teach them martial arts, they have that for life. They're always going to be able to defend themselves. They're always going to be able to stand on their own. So
I've
I'm
not
like,
stepped foot on
okay.
a football field since 2012, so
Yeah.
I don't get to do that anymore. I mean,
Right.
if I really wanted to get in shape, go try for tea, whatever, but that's not. That's a goal that's, at least in my life right now, is not achievable.
And who would have the time?
Yeah, I mean, I got a kid, a wife. Yeah, it'd be great. There's teams that come down from Ohio that pay you, I think, $250,000 to play, but I did look all this stuff up.
You're up against people that like
got
are
it
devoted.
right out of high school,
Yeah.
right out of college,
Uh-huh.
that are in shape. I'm
Yeah.
no longer in shape. The last thing I did was I tried out for a movie. It was Will Smith's Concussion,
Okay.
but it was basically a combine in Pittsburgh. They had these big scouts from like the SEC over in California come over, and they were making jokes because it was cold out and not all the guys did all that great. And he's like, no wonder the SEC is better than the Big Ten or whatever. And
Right.
but that's the last time I did anything related to football. It was just a combine, just to be an extra in a movie.
Right.
So, but yeah, karate, you keep up with that stuff. It's valuable forever. I'd love to be able to roundhouse kick somebody in the head, but I can't even touch my toes.
Well, maybe you have something to work on there.
Yeah, definitely. Stretching is definitely one thing. I noted. Must be raining out.
Yeah.
Oh, I noticed that with like the education system and the development, or like the special education system, that if a kid scored low or they thought that like 1 year they needed to go into it, they'd be in it, and then they would be in it for the rest of their high school career, even if they didn't need it.
Yeah.
I've had kids I played football with that weren't dumb. They didn't. They kind of goofed off and maybe had some sort of slight learning curve, but then they didn't need it. They just made high school a lot easier for them.
Yeah.
I knew a kid at Mount Union that, and I think someone we graduated with too, they weren't allowed to do the Special Olympics because they were too athletic. It's like you have these slight learning curves, which other kids in that spectrum would be able to qualify for Special Olympics, but you already play football, you already on varsity basketball.
Well, yeah, because
It's
so
like
we
you
don't want you
cannot-
going in there
Yeah,
and
it's
get
like
cleaning house either.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
that
in
would
these
be-
classes, but you cannot participate because you are too athletic and would dominate these kids. It's not fair.
and nobody would look outside of the box either and say, you know what, because you do have these learning curves, and you do. Well, the learning curve, we'll say,
Yeah.
is the best way to put it. Why don't we put you in charge of it? Why don't you mentor these kids? You play football. How about
Make you the coach.
You make you a coach, make you an assistant coach, make you something,
I mean, all these.
make you the water boy for them. Why not?
Yeah, because I mean, it's the absolute, like, for this thing to think about it. But I mean, you could have Forrest Gump or the Water Boy. These ones that people that aren't the brightest, but still are amazing at sports. But
Yeah.
sometimes they don't get the chance to
Right.
to try because they already have that stigma on them.
Yeah. Like I can see my son, he is a stats guy.
Okay.
You can ask him about any Penn State hockey player, any Penguins player, the Rangers he's into. There's someone else too. It's not the Flyers. It's another, I think it's another New York team. The Rangers and then
Knicks? No, that's a basketball team.
no, yeah,
So
it's all
she's a
hockey. It's
okay.
he's a hockey guy. And you could ask him stats on, the players and what year and whatever, and he can tell you. Now, I don't know if you could ever put a pair of ice skates on, you know what I mean, and get a stick and, go do anything. But I mean, he's like that guy, and I can hear him sometimes. He'll have his little stick or whatever, and he'll like be an announcer, I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting. And then when you have a little bit extra time, I mean, look at me. I've talked into a microphone for a couple years. I mean, who's to say he can't,
Yeah.
sports broadcasting or just whatever, there's
Funny, now I haven't got any reply back, and I've got no whatever
animosity.
yeah, that word. I don't
Okay.
have any of that towards the high school whatsoever. I know their last superintendent kind of brushed me off and had no interest whatsoever. And they have a new girl coming in who she actually is a alumni from Southern.
Okay.
I don't remember her maiden name. I think she graduated like 6-7 years before I did.
Okay.
And she played basketball, but I live streamed the high school football games like 3 years ago, and Tracy Cornelius had he loved it because whatever system they have is awful. During COVID, they set it up. You have to pay $80 a year to see crap quality
Okay. Yeah.
on there.
Yep.
So I did it for him for a couple games, and I brought it to the attention of the superintendent, who brushed me off. And I wanted, a student-led thing where, say, a student loves sports, can't play it or doesn't have the desire to play, but loves sports and loves announcing, and get them involved and do stuff like that. And I mean, I was going to do it for basketball to give them a test run, but I didn't get really a definitive answer on some questions, and I didn't feel comfortable just taking all my equipment up there and trying to find a spot to sit and even record at a basketball game is nuts, because Southern's bleachers are not great.
No.
You got your knees against someone's back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's, I like, if your son wanted to do something like that, I had all these things laid out of, what I wanted to do and would help out with like a career in, broadcasting, whatever. But I might bring it up.
It'd be a good place to just wet your beak, because I did it. But I didn't live stream it. We recorded and we grabbed people as they came through. It was Champ.
Okay.
The Champ dance. When I first started out, I had like a teen podcast that we did, and we set them up there. And then we had everyone like Jen and Andrea, and we had Jeremy and Katie. We had everybody up there, and we were grabbing like some of the Champ kids, like the ones like the Destiny. Her, we grabbed her and we talked to her. We talked to Lindsay Heath, her son Hudson Heath. Just talking to different people and stuff, and it went over really well. So, something to think about.
Yeah, I definitely had, I've had the idea running and plus I'm, a independent contractor, and Southern's big thing now, I think, is like, or at least they're very stingy.
And that's, I get, and that's the thing too, is like how being so stingy. It's like, not everybody wants paid for something. Some people are just decent human beings that, maybe you're a little bit of an outcast. Maybe who knows? Maybe you just have a soft spot for someone that doesn't have, hasn't found their thing. But you know what? This could be their thing. And who knows? You might put a little, pep in the step to where that kid could find their thing.
Yeah, I did a lot of it. I think I did 5 games. I did it all for free because, one, I enjoyed doing it, and I wanted to see what kind of quality I can give them. And I had like an idea of prices and stuff, whatever, because I mean, time is money, and I couldn't just do everything for free, especially with a kid. And there's a lot that goes on in high school. But the thing I wanted was to be able to start something that I could then step back from and let someone else take over it.
Yeah.
And that's how there's a lot of clubs and ideas of things I want to go do that's not available around us that I would love to start, but that's like, I just want to start it so someone else will take it over, so I don't have to be in charge of it.
You gotta be in charge of it for quite a while before you can walk away from it.
Yeah.
If you want it done right, I think.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, and I mean, for like, if I play card games, which I got out of Magic the Gathering because I had way too many cards, never got to play with them. It was more of a collecting aspect, and just sat in there, just collected dust, but I did make some money out of selling them. But if I want to go somewhere to play, I have to, drive an hour to Altoona or Chambersburg or Hagerstown, to play with somebody. And there's nowhere around here to even start something like that.
Yeah.
The coolest place that I thought would be able to open a game shop was in Shirleysburg there, that big yellow building that's now basically a Puff and Snuff and PA Seals game place.
What?
Yeah, when you're driving through Shirleysburg on the left there, that big yellow building with the big windows, it was a antique place just a little bit ago.
Oh, okay.
Someone else bought it, and now it's like just a vape shop
Are you
and
serious?
PA Seals games, because that's exactly what we need in Shirleysburg.
Well, we need more skills. We need more gambling, and we need more nicotine, definitely.
Yeah, I think
And what they probably also sell like the fake weed.
probably.
I'm sure that's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know that Huntington now has another one across from Sheets there on by the college. It's where Domino's used to be.
Yes.
Another vape shop there.
Well, they sell the kratom stuff, from what I understand, is like
what?
a kratom.
Never heard of it.
I think it's something in the neighborhood of like, I want to say heroin. Yeah, I have to
What?
look that up. I think it's in the, I think it is. I think it's in like the neighborhood of,
Like,
I don't know how to
how would that be legal?
change a couple. All right, kratom.
Like a whatever, however make it. Because heroin's one of those, like, it's a 50-50 chance when you take it. Either you're gonna die or you're not gonna die.
Well, okay, so it's a traditional medicine. Kratom has been used in Southeast Asia for centuries to relieve pain, anxiety, and opioid withdrawal symptoms. What if you know anything about like the Suboxones and the methadones and stuff? If you're not hooked on, heroin or any kind of opioids, you can take Suboxone and get high off of it. Same thing with methadone. So we have something for everything, I guess.
Yeah.
Me, when I was growing up, it was like malt liquor and wine coolers, and now these kids have kratom.
The names they come up with stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny, as I told you, we wanted to talk about how the difficulties of starting up small YouTube channels and podcasts and whatever, and I think we've gone completely off topic.
Well, then let's talk about it then. What do you want to talk? I was thinking about that today when you sent me the message about that we were going to talk about, and I thought, to be a content creator, are you talking about a content creator? Are you talking about a podcaster, or just getting your beak wet in any of this?
Yeah, I think like podcasting, YouTube videos, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. I mean, I guess TikTok or Instagram would be more of like just influencer, and I never really got that. People were like, I guess you can be an influencer on Snapchat, Instagram.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
you're just pictures of your daily stuff. Because I mean, from when I was in high school, influencers become something completely different. But just whether it's most content creators, Instagram photos or reels, TikToks, what YouTube videos, podcasting, whatever.
But I think they all tie together, actually. And if
Yeah.
you're ambitious enough, see, I think it's probably a great time to be a content creator if you're hungry enough for it, because there's always something going on. Yeah, it's just constant, But the negative side of that is that we don't have a very good attention span. I think they said like our brains are now whittling down to where we have like a 30-second, like,
which is why I never got TikTok. Like Vine, I loved Vine.
Yeah.
6 seconds. If you can't be funny in 6 seconds, I don't want to watch it.
yeah.
And it made sense.
Yeah, but I mean, like the TikToks, like they're 30 seconds or a minute or whatever. And I notice myself, if I see one that's 3 minutes, I'm like, forget about
Yeah,
it.
no. If I'm gonna
I
watch
can't
10,
commit to
3
that.
minutes, I'm gonna go watch YouTube videos. Like it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
at least I can sit down and watch that on a TV screen.
right. So I think that there's so much that if you would have to be constantly after it, which kind of reminds me back of when, I was super into like my podcast, and like it was just my life and my baby. There was a lot of things that like we did, the Reel It In podcast and Hippie Sunday School did before like it became news. Like I remember we did on child sex trafficking. And it was like a week later, the whole R. Kelly thing broke. Do you know? But we had like the district attorney on. We were talking about like how the Super Bowl is like the hot spot for it, and just the different things that go on and stuff. And like, the next week it's like it's all over the news. So we kind of were like tapping ourselves on the shoulder. I'm like, okay,
We're ahead of the curve.
yeah, we talked about this last week, before it was cool. And, just different things like that. So I think you have to kind of always be watching. I remember I worked with another podcast that they were big on, they wanted to be like investigative journalists. Okay. And so their first season was good and they were able to they hit the mark with it. Second one was good enough, it kept them in the game or whatever. Then they reached out to me and wanted to bring me on for their third season. And I had said like that there was a Netflix movie that was on. It was called like the trial of Gabriel Hernandez.
I feel like I've heard of it.
Horrible story of child abuse. I mean, just horrific, heartbreaking, just horrible. And I remember saying to them, well, why don't we look into what children's services really is? I mean, they can be called on you for no reason. How do things like this slip through the cracks? And you hear about it all the time. But then the other side of that, you hear about it because like there's a bad divorce, and that's how they get back at each other and stuff. So why don't we look at it as a whole? Well, then like months went by and they didn't really, and I'm not saying my ideas are good. I mean, they usually are, they usually, they are, they're good. If I say it out loud, yeah. And, like months went by. And then one of the girls on the podcast, she had children's services called on her.
Oh,
yeah. So that's where the whole season went. As we never looked at like the flip side of it. We never talked about how, CYS workers don't make anything, how much like the houses that they go into, how they don't have police backing. But then the other side of that, like if children's services shows up to your house, they don't need a warrant. There's just so many levels of it, to try to figure out what's right, what's wrong, and how to make it better, or just, and I had CYS workers lining up to talk to me. I did. And we talked to a lot of them, but the focus was always on the wasted resources when you call just because you're mad at someone. So yeah, there's that. So I think, like I said, I think if you have like, you got to have a fire in your belly. I think you have to have a good instinct. I think you have to be relatable. I don't even think you have to be likable so much, just relatable.
There's a lot of people that's like, I think he's a Twitch streamer. His name's Speed. I cannot stand him.
Yeah.
He's not a likable person, but he's so rambunctious and off the wall that it's like a train wreck you can't look away from. So people continue to watch him.
Right.
And Mr. Beast had him on one of the things he did. And it's just one of those like, oh, here's a shock factor thing. I'm going to bring him on for it.
Is he out of control, like because he's mentally ill?
I wouldn't even think that. I
No.
think he's just, he
just
does
gets it.
He does it on purpose.
Yeah.
Because he knows he can get a reaction out of it.
He knows that this is my jam. This is how I get where I want to go. Okay.
A lot. And I noticed that the YouTube algorithm, because I love doing the podcast. I think the last episode I did was with a friend of mine who was in cosplay and kind of cut it short because of audio issues and whatever. And it's always something technical. Almost something technical.
I know.
So, but I hadn't done anything since that for a few months. And I just haven't got around to getting people on. I have some ideas, but it's just, I like the in-person better. It's more, everything's always more reliable. When it comes to Zoom or Discord, there's always something in the way.
Yeah.
And it feels more personal talking. So I mean, I got a friend of mine, Matt Sassano, who lives in Tennessee. He's a Christian rock songwriter. He was at Uprise. He was at Agape Fest. And I think he's going to come back again this year, which 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
He's, hopefully to have
That's
him.
when you grab him.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with him and I talked, and he has cerebral palsy.
Okay.
He has something where he can't walk properly.
Okay.
And he has a couple other things, but he's got a good testimony, and it's not like he's very open about everything. So he's good conversation.
Yeah.
Dude's so happy and bubbly. But even doing, like, I love doing YouTube videos. I like filming. I've noticed more in high school, I didn't want to be an actor. I did stage acting, and I can tell there's a big difference between theater acting and like TV acting.
Well, then those are the whole new world of content
Yes.
creator acting.
Mm-hmm. Because like reading a script and memorizing a script is one thing to be on stage where you have to memorize the entire thing, and then just like how do you present yourself and speak on stage, and then having a script excuse me, that you only memorize a few lines and then you do a take and then you can redo it.
Yeah.
It's just and the way you talk. For me, I don't like reading it. Like I tried one video with like a teleprompter on my phone. I couldn't do it. Like,
I'm totally reading. Like my eyes aren't moving. I'm focused.
Yeah, like,
I will be zoomed in.
that's
on
why
that.
I tried to have the teleprompter as close to where the camera was. So I'm looking at the it did not. I feel stiff.
Yeah.
At least podcasting, it's more like natural.
Yeah.
It's more just a regular conversation.
So, which I think is probably also like if you wanted to be into, because it seems I have a friend who
You have lots of friends.
I do. I do. But I have a friend that does TikToks, and he's got a couple pages. One is presidential reviews, and the other one is if I go missing. And they're all like political, like they're raunchy. I mean, but they're funny. Like they get it. He's quick with the times. You know, if Biden did something, he had a TikTok up with it. You know what I mean? And like it didn't matter. And he still does it, you know, like Trump winning, you know, he's got a TikTok for it and stuff.
Even,
so
like
you have to just constantly be
you can
dialed
still,
in.
even if you're a big Trump fan, you can still make fun of the guy.
Absolutely.
Like, and I'm sure he would love it too. Like,
yeah, absolutely. You make fun of him. Yeah.
like, don't be, and I think not to like fly off too political, but I think that's the difference between like left comedy and right comedy. Left is like, we're going to make fun of the right and you can't make fun of us. That's just wrong. And the right's like, we're making fun of everybody no matter what.
Well, the left isn't, they don't find things funny.
Yeah.
Like they don't have a sense of humor about really anything.
Yeah.
They just always want to fight for rights they already have or make up new ones, you know,
Yeah.
make up like this one, make things up and make a TikTok about how oppressed they are. And you're like, wait a minute. Like it's just enough. So, you know, especially the chicks that,
Purple hair buzzed.
well, the women that get on there and they're like trans rights and, you know, and like my daughter, it's like, your daughter is a boy. You hate white men. You're a white chick. That's a white boy. It's going to turn into a white man underneath there.
No matter
So-
how, even if you can
So this
somehow
whole
influence them.
patriarchy BS that you keep screaming about and, you know, chasing your own tail about and want me to chase your tail too, like it's not going to happen because I find you ridiculous. And I think I see the irony in it. And so, yeah, on the right, like we're talking smack about each other.
Yeah, make fun of me. I had a kid at work. He was a black kid, but like, you know, one of the whitest black kids I've ever met. And I had him like tell me the worst like white slurs you can come up with. Like what you thought in your head. I think one of them was like ice demon, ice chimp, whatever. He like
So we've graduated from
Yes.
like cracker and
yeah. And
okay,
I was like,
good.
I'm like, dude, tell me whatever you have because they are hilarious. I find them hysterical. I mean,
But I'm not going to tell you any of that.
Yeah,
because,
no.
we don't do that around
yeah,
here.
no, and I can't say some of the things he said to, you know, other people I work with. I'm like, because if I said that, I'm getting in trouble.
That, and I just think and that's too, like some of the content, back to the content, you know, you talk about this inherent racism and all this other stuff. Just had this conversation the other day with a woman and she's a white woman, but she's married to a black man. Her kids are biracial. So
I think, do I know who you're talking about? Is she from around here?
Matt Ian.
We'll talk after.
Probably you may or may not,
Okay.
you know. But her and I were talking, and I had said to her, I was like, I hope you know that if things went sideways, if Trump is this, you know, Hitler Jr. that's coming through, there's a lot of us that aren't going to tolerate it.
Oh yeah.
We voted for him, you know, this whole Doge thing's cool. having Elon Musk in there, it's kind of entertaining. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard, absolutely. RFK, I'm in. Like there's a lot of his cabinet that I think is pretty cool. But if it came down to where they're lining, you know, people of color up, or like this deporting thing, I do keep kind of an eye on that, because I do know that I don't think we're all inherently racist, but there is some racism that still is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And there are probably some in perhaps law enforcement or just neighborhoods, whatever, that think because you're, it's kind of the racism that used to be like towards black people might now be towards Hispanics, and so like, I don't want to see kids getting hurt. I don't want to see it turn into something like that. Like, I don't like you. You're not like me.
Mm-hmm.
Get out, And so I was like, I hope you do realize that there's a lot of us that will watch for that, and we won't stand for it, because us on this side, we've already set up to things before.
Mm-hmm.
We've told you to shove it with your mask. We
dumped the tea into the harbor.
Yeah. A lot of the businesses stayed open. We fought for businesses to stay open. I mean, I have friends, Matt Foltz, down in like the Harrisburg area. He was one who crusaded to keep businesses open, raise money for them. So we'll do that for both sides.
Yeah, we recognize that there are still a lot of rhinos in Congress, in Senates.
Mm-hmm.
We're not like all in Trump as our Lord and Savior.
Well, humanity is humanity.
Yeah.
And if you follow, doesn't even have to be a religion. If you're just a human being with a good moral compass, you see where if it's not humane, it's not okay.
Yeah.
So we're not going to watch, them shave your head and walk you into the oven.
Mm-hmm.
We're not doing it. We're not going to ever do it.
So far, what we see, they're like, are you glad you're getting what you voted for? Yes. Right now, yes.
Mm-hmm.
If things turn around,
if things get extreme,
we won't stand for it. And
exactly.
Something's going to change. We've seen that the political, the right they've voiced what they want. They finally said, hey, we're going to stop. We are coming out, and
Mm-hmm.
we are the majority. If they don't like it, yeah, we might have to put up for 4 years, but there's going to be change after that.
Trump's been shot at twice. So
And we can go into that further too. I don't know if you've heard some of the stuff going on in Harrisburg with that.
I saw something and I wasn't sure if it was, and that's another thing about me anymore too, with content creating and podcasting and stuff.
Being very skeptical.
It's like, what's for real?
Mm-hmm.
What's, anyone can write a news story. Anyone can, post anything. They can say anything, which is our right.
Mm-hmm.
But
if it is real, that is huge.
If it is real, and that's absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, I was in Pittsburgh on the day he was shot. And it was weird because, like, I guess if you wanted to be a conspiracy theory content creator, here you go.
Yeah.
But when we went into the hotel, and we were just running around Pittsburgh for the day, like took Nate to a monster truck thing, whatever. And we went into the hotel, and in the restaurant lounge area, the TV was on CNN, and it was live. And I had said to the waiter, he walked up, and you guys getting a drink order or whatever. I was like, Trump was shot? And he's like, yeah. Yeah. I was like, when? And it was like probably about 20 minutes prior to. I mean, that's weird that it's on CNN. You know what I mean? Like, or that. And then I'm like flipping through. I started on my phone and stuff, and that was like, CNN was airing that Trump rally. Which
they wouldn't normally do.
No. Fox might have. What's that other one that
NBC or CNBC?
No, that Right Side Broadcasting or
I've gotten out of politics a big time since before the election, but I've only heard of like NBC, ABC, Fox, CNN, whatever.
But this is one of the ones that like Mastriano used to go on a good bit. Okay. And so it's like I think it's probably bought by like Fox, but it's you know, coming out as its own little independent, whatever. But yeah, like I was looking at like it was CNN had streamed it, had streamed the rally, and I was like, oh, that's weird.
Hmm.
And like the kid that you know that was our waiter, and I'd asked him about it. He was like, yeah, it was about 20 minutes ago. I don't know. Can I get you a drink?
So
I'm like, yeah, I'll take a Pinot Noir. And now I've got questions. And
yeah.
yeah, but if that's it is true about Shapiro and stuff. I mean,
Small Mount Union boy, Joshy Shapiro. I mean,
he's not from Mount Union, is he? No, he's.
yes, he is. His brother owns Shapiro Flooring.
I think that's just something John runs his mouth about.
I'm pretty sure that's his brother. I thought that.
No, there's no way.
That's what I was told.
You were given fake news, and I think I would put money on it that.
I thought he was from Mount Union because I know. I mean, my wife worked at the bank, and he'd come
Well,
through.
Oh yeah, there's a Shapiro that works at the bank.
Well, I mean, Shapiro Flooring.
It's from Mount Union, yeah.
I always thought that was his brother.
I don't think so. That man's old. Mr. Shapiro,
The kid, his son.
he would never shut up if that was his brother.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, we can dig into. I could be wrong. I've been, but I'm pretty confident that I'm not wrong.
Well, either way, it would the family.
We can just roll, and that's the thing
it
is
would make
that
sense.
we can
It
just
would-
say because that's just how things go now. Yeah, he's from Mount Union.
Yeah, you want conspiracy theory content to get back into.
Yeah, and just start lying.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm wrong, whatever. But it would make sense.
I mean, it would definitely it tracks.
Yeah. But I think getting back to like the trying to build it up, especially with like if you're doing long form content on YouTube, the algorithm has definitely changed in the past 15 years since like at least for like people my wife and I watch, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, these like PewDiePie, these big YouTube gamers that jumped on in 2012 and just kind of skyrocketed from there because at that time, as long as you were posting something and people shared it, it got around quick. Now you have to be consistent. You have to have engagement, and like I want to be an affiliate before the end of the year. I need 500 subscribers. I have to have 1,000 watch hours or 5 million views on shorts, which you think is a lot, but it's like TikTok's just kind of keep scrolling and just you watch, but there's a lot to it compared to what used to be. So
Yeah.
and I mean it's partly my fault that I didn't hit the goal I wanted to last year because I didn't just record enough. And my problem is I don't have that thing down yet that people keep wanting to watch. I have too many interests, too many hobbies, too many things I like to talk about to nail down that one thing that whether it's like I know some people play video games or they react to videos. Cinnamon Toast Ken on YouTube, just the main thing he reacts to that gets him his views is Chris Hansen videos, which
I like the To Catch a Predator guy.
well
Okay.
he has a new one now. It's on True Blue. It's his own like streaming platform, and I forget what it's called.
Is it the same idea?
Yes, but he is just off unhinged. It's
Chris Hansen is.
Oh, he's unhinged.
What's it called?
Oh,
If I just YouTube Chris Hansen,
yeah,
it'll take me to him.
yeah, he has a new show out on True Blue, and they release like a full episode every once in a while.
Okay,
It's
okay.
fantastic, and that's his thing.
Uh-huh.
So I haven't nailed down what.
You haven't found your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's hard for me to do that because even if I did find my thing, it's like, oh, everyone likes this, but do I have enough ideas to continue this thing? Or it's like, what about my other ideas that I really like? And it's like, oh, well, then you do another YouTube channel for that. I'm like, that's a lot of work. Videos for this channel, videos for that channel, videos for TikTok, videos for insert, whatever. It's a lot of work, and you have to be.
Yeah.
Because I know my wife and I are going to one of her best friend's weddings that she grew up with, and her fiance has a YouTube channel and a successful one. He has like over 125,000 subscribers, and it's just playing, games. And he makes good money. I mean, he's got videos with millions of views, and that's money. Views, clicks, engagement. That's how you make your money. So where I'm averaging, I don't know, 16 to 20 views on a podcast video, which I've realized that they do better on YouTube than
Okay.
they do on like Spotify or
Hmm.
iTunes. I think it's just harder to try to get your audience on.
I
People
think we're
don't
become such a visual like audience.
people. I mean, I love listening to podcasts in my car on the way to work, but even so, it's through YouTube Music,
Yeah.
which I will upload this to YouTube and then put it under the podcast playlist,
Hmm.
which then turns it into, if you go to YouTube Music app, you can either watch the video or you can just listen to it.
Yeah.
So it kind of I mean, it is a podcast, but it's still, you can watch this video on YouTube.
Hmm.
And yeah, people just don't seem to listen to podcasts near as much as they used to. At
Well,
least in 2020, like,
I think it's become so flooded now.
mhm.
I mean, you think about, I know, just like just my suggestions off of, and I've been listening to probably the same 5 podcasts
Yeah.
forever.
Same here.
And I'm not even consistent, but it'll show me like, here's who's, who's up and coming, or this is a good one or whatever. And it's like the cast from Beverly Hills 90210 wants to talk about the show Beverly Hills 90210. Like, oh no, I've been there, done that, or like, what was it, like the Real World Road Rules challenges? Remember them?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, it was like the beginning of like reality TV.
Oh, okay.
And it was like an MTV thing, and there was these challenges where they did some like extreme stuff, and challenged each other for money or whatever. And now they're doing podcasts about it. Like, okay,
It's like, we've already
no,
watched the show. Why?
yeah,
Now you're
like,
just rehashing it.
yeah, or just like, or just the really easy thing it seems like would be is just to like recap a TV show. What are you watching nowadays? You watching Yellowstone or what's this, Landman, or whatever these new ones are? Recap them every week. And which to me feels that's just cluttering the space,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I mean,
And then again, but you also get where, like, how many coffee shops are out there? How many big name coffee shops are out there? And as much as I don't like Starbucks, when they come on the scene, how many coffee shops were already there? That need for a coffee shop is still there, but it's how well are you doing it? How well are you putting it above everybody else? It's like, now, I mean, I'd rather drink locally.
mhm.
I'm not a coffee drinker, but if I'm going to get like a specialty drink, like
We're going
when,
to the Roast Post.
yeah, when Roast Post has their butter beer,
Mhm.
I don't get coffee in it. So I just get the regular, either iced or hot, but it's just, I don't know, it's like butterscotch and caramel or something.
I'm
It's like
familiar
sugar, basically,
with
for
their
me.
menu. Yeah.
But if Starbucks come into town here, everybody would go there.
I don't think so. Not in the Roast Post case. That is a cult following.
It is, and I think
And it's because it's such a beloved family that
they're
does a
advertising.
lot. They do so much for the community. Like, Starbucks would know not to come
I
in
mean,
here.
I'm a green bean person from Altoona, but then again, I'm biased. I'm friends with the owners, so but
I'm friends with the Roast Post
yeah,
owners as well.
there's
So
always that
gotcha.
bias just because you
Yeah.
know them. Because
And they put out a supreme product too.
yeah, I mean, with the green bean, they have 2 buildings, and then they have their truck that they send to either Pittsburgh or State College, and I could see them opening up somewhere, something soon. They wanted to look at Huntington, but I don't. Huntington honestly is not a prime spot for coffee, even though you would think it would be with college students, but they hide away. They don't come out.
And it's like flooded with too many of them up there
Mhm.
anyway. Like they're just, yeah, I don't know. But I mean, you could there's podcasts out there just about coffee,
Mm-hmm.
and like,
It's funny. Speaking of that, there's a Christian news outlet called The Pour Over. It's coffee themed, and it's one of those ones where they don't. I mean, for me, listening to the Christian side of it, I'd say that they're a little bit biased towards certain, whether they introduce a scripture for something that's like related to today. But here's what happened in the news. That's it. They're not saying Trump was a bad guy and said this to so and so, or Biden stupidly fell down this. It's Trump went and did this thing. Biden allowed this thing to happen, and that's all it is.
Hmm.
So they just kind of, and they call like here's your espresso shots for the day, and it's like just quick. Here's like here,
Yeah. So someone they found their groove and they found their voice and they figured it out for
yeah,
themselves. Yeah.
they're only like 7 minute, 10 minute
Hmm.
episodes every
Hmm.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and so I'll listen to those, in the morning to work just to kind of recap what happened.
Hmm.
But they found their thing,
Hmm.
and it's a just non-biased news media.
Hmm.
Whether you're a Christian or not, it's just here's
Yeah.
what had happened. You think of how you want to think of it.
Right.
So they found their thing, and my wife will hate me for saying the word niche because I say it way too much, but I haven't found my
Yes.
niche.
Yeah. See, I would say that my niche, and I think I could pick it up anytime and put it down anytime that I want to, is I enjoy people. I mean, I sometimes say that I don't, but I think everyone has a story. Some, are just a little bit more intense than others. I don't think we always need intensity. I kind of like someone that would come on and say, my childhood was great. My high school experience was awesome. I graduated top of my class. My parents weren't divorced.
It's like writing a good Dungeons and Dragons character. Why does your rogue have to have like dead parents? People
Yeah,
hate him. Just why does your character have to have a tragic backstory? Why
right.
couldn't it be like, I made one character who was a gnome who's just like he owned a little shop and he's like, you know what? I want to leave and
Right.
be an adventure. Parents were great.
No,
Wife
I've
marriage
never
was great.
this person that I talk of, I've never met them. But but I would be open to talking to someone that just went to college, had a great experience, got out of college,
I mean,
found my
I,
job, found the love of my life. We have 3 kids. We're happy.
I could say I'm kind of that. I mean, I find college a waste of time and money, but that's just my bias of,
Right.
whatever. But, my parents stayed together for 30 some years.
Hmm.
They were definitely role models for me.
Hmm.
I found my wife kind of the same way. My parents found each other to dance,
Okay.
and married my wife for 7 years now.
Hmm.
I have a kid. High school wasn't terrible. I graduated math with all D's. Had the same math teacher for 3 years. That was terrible.
Hmm.
But I got through school, played sports, went to college for a year, found out it wasn't for me. Went to the working field, and now I'm a lead at my job, making a good bit of money. Finally,
Hmm.
we got a good raise. Now my wife has a
Nice.
job, and so we're heading to Texas in November. We're going to the
Hmm.
big Ren Fair. I'd say I could honestly say that if I would die tomorrow, I've fulfilled a good life.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with it if something happened. And my wife, on the other hand, she has a lot of stuff she wants to do. But I could say I've done a lot more than most people have with twice as much lifetime that I have had.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. And that's the thing is you just continue it. Like, just
hmm
don't give up on it. Like, I know, I mean, if you were to talk to me a year ago and talk to me today, like I said, I'm just a stay-at-home mom that's,
hmm
homeschooling, and I'm happy with it. I'm
Yeah, it
cool
seemed
with
that
it.
you were, because it's funny. I'm gonna have Addison on next week,
Okay.
and we're gonna talk about pet peeves. She's never been on a podcast before, so
Okay.
I don't want to like jump into a specific topic with her. But
Mhm.
I like the along the lines of not having a specific thing down. All my podcast episodes are for something completely different. So this
Mhm.
one just what grinds my gears. Pick 3
Mhm.
things and just kind of
Yeah.
complain about them.
Yeah.
So and her and I were talking, and it seems like for you, you kind of had just got jobs to socialize with people because you just need to get out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you said, well, your husband makes a good enough money that you don't need to have a job. You're like, I need to go do something.
Yeah. I need to get out and
Yeah.
occasionally, but now I'm kind of happy with just being in. Like, maybe it's just,
When you're stuck inside for 4 years, forced to be inside for 4 years, you got to get out. Now you're like, people, I'm gonna stay inside.
yeah. 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 So yeah, and especially, I mean, I liked down there. I liked the people. Like, I had a great time down there. I know whenever,
It's a lot different now. It's completely different.
yeah, well,
Not bad, but it's very
yeah,
different.
things change.
Robotics, and we got little robots driving around now. So
Nice. That's pretty cool.
it's weird.
But I mean, I don't know. I'm trained as a pharmacy technician. That's what I went to school for. And whenever I used to work in a hospital, like the women, it was mostly women that worked in there with me. Like there was only like 10 of us, and we were all stuck in this pharmacy all day together. And there's people that had been there for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, whatever. And they would complain about like the nurses and stuff. Like the nurses would call up and like, hey, we can't find, 3Bs, amlodipine. Okay, we'll send one down. No biggie. These women would stomp and carry on and freak out. Like the drug starts with an A. So it's right. You know what I mean? Like everything's alphabetized. It's right there. Grab it, show the pharmacist it, put it in a little baggie, send it down the tube. You know what I mean? Like how good we have it. We make just as much as these nurses do. We don't deal with patients. We don't deal with their families. We don't deal with doctors. We don't deal with anybody. We take a lunch break, like we leave if we want to, and just complain. And I could never have settled into that kind of life. I know me, I would have never have made it. And that's honestly, that job is when I just said, screw it. I'm going to try this podcasting thing. And then that's, it just went from there. And yeah.
I like to be a realist in most situations. Like if we were like, oh, the cup's half full, the cup's half empty. I'm like, there's water in the cup.
There's water in the cup.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it could be pee. If it's that bad, there's something in there.
The faucet works.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have to have anything in it.
So there's so many things that I would have loved to do, but it's like realistically, I can't do them. I would love to, do YouTube as a living, film. Like I said, I'm realizing that if I could go to school paid for the dumbest degree, would make no difference, and it's all free, I would go for like filmmaking. Like I said before, I think we got off of the tangent, but when I was acting, I wanted to be on camera, and now I'm realizing I would much rather be behind the camera and see my vision. But then again, like I want to be there to make sure it's done right, but I want to see my vision while I'm behind it.
Right.
I would love to be a director.
Yeah.
But realistically, I'm not going to spend the money to have to go to New York or California or whatever, just to do this, where YouTube is free. Yeah, I have to invest some money in a good camera or whatever, but,
Well, then that's where I think that I think you really need to dig your heels into that. Okay. If you, in one breath, you say, I could die tomorrow and things be all right. I've done what I wanted to. I'm moving on. But then the other breath, it's like, I kind of want to do this.
Yeah,
you know
there's,
what I mean?
so many things I would love to do, but
it's a balance, and you don't have to do everything at once. You got this going. Keep it going for a little while.
Hyperfixations is what I like to call them.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Hyperfixate. There you go. So you do this.
Changing.
Keep it for a little while. Keep it consistent. Just keep it moving.
So I'm trying one video a week. I'd love one podcast episode a week, but it's hard to schedules and all this. And
Nothing is impossible.
And it's always like the videos I have. It's cold outside. I hate wintertime.
Yeah.
So many things I want to do.
It can't be cold all the time.
Exactly.
You're gonna walk in your house and there's heat.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Excuses.
Yeah.
We don't make them.
My wife and I we just recorded a video, and it's gonna come out Friday of just basically. I watched. I don't know if you ever heard of Matt Mercer. He voice actor, Dungeons and Dragons, whatever. Him and his wife, they did a sit down and like ask each other 15 questions to see how we can get right. So her and I just asked each other questions to see who knows the other person
that's
better.
A cute idea, yeah.
So, and it's going to come out Friday.
My husband would never do that. Never.
My wife is all on board with this stuff. Now,
yeah.
I don't have anything posted on it, but I already have the channel set up for her and I. If we just decide to do like couples videos, but I want to get mine established first to kind of get some growth there.
Yeah.
To then be like, hey, if you want to see more of this, let me know. My wife and I can then go over and do more stuff, but then that's kind of pulls away from mine. But, it's just, like I said, so many things I want to do.
Right.
It's hard for me to concrete. Even if I find that thing that people like, my internal, person of like, I like so many things. I can't just sit on this one thing. Everyone wants it, but I can't just sit there. So I want to do other things. And then it seems like a lot of work to.
But I think that's how those doors open. I think you start something like this and then you stay on it. For me, that's how it worked. Started it, just stayed consistent, just, constantly looking for people to talk to, looking for interesting things, just going, and then before you know it, you're on the front page of the newspaper because you're the first one and there's a big story about you, and then Channel 10's writing about you, and then it's a cool. So once that momentum comes, then you're like, all right, let's keep doing this, and then keep plugging away, and then before you know it, you're gonna network, You're going to meet someone. Someone's going to find you
Mhm.
or not, or you might find someone. And that's another thing. Have the courage to reach out to people. The worst thing they're going to tell you is no.
And what the first episode we talked about was having connections.
Yeah. And
And
that's how you do it. And you know, you reach out to someone that you say you like on TikTok or you like. And there's a girl on TikTok I follow right now. I would love to talk to her. Love to talk to her. She's like this great, not liberal, but she's like a common sense, but she's like a defense attorney. So she's like really into like how poor people get the scales of justice just don't tilt the same for,
oh
you know,
yeah,
poor people
money
and stuff.
talks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I would love to talk to her. And one of these days I'll get the, you know, the balls, for lack of a better word, to shoot her a message. And what's she going to say? No.
Or not reply. You know, it's
Or she's going to read it and leave me on red. Oh, all right, moving on. I did it.
you saw it.
Or she's going to say, yeah.
My wife wants me to do a clickbaity video, like title, because one of the things is she asked a question about my wife had witnessed an exorcism when she was in Costa Rica.
Okay.
So she wants like, well, because this will come out after that video does.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, use that as a clickbait, thing about like you saw an exorcism or like one of those types of things. And I have
Those things make me so mad.
I have it's like it's a minuscule thing in the entire video. It's like we're not even talking about the exorcism. It's just how were you when you experienced it,
Right.
But like she's all on board for this stuff, and she doesn't have too many hobbies, so I want her involved. But it's like, when do I make the time for these? Because I want to do a video on like SpongeBob knowledge. I know nothing about SpongeBob, but she was born the same year that it came out, and she grew up with it. Like
Oh, yeah.
from the first, I don't know, whenever she stopped really watching the newer stuff. Before that, you show her a picture from like that episode, she could probably quote that scene for you. Like she's that obsessed with SpongeBob. So,
Okay.
but yeah, there's so many things that I want to do, and like we talked about networking and having connections. One video I did was it was very random, and people kind of asked me the question like, "Are you with them or whatever?" And I'm like, "No, I got this idea. I wanted to ask." We went to Uprise in Shippensburg, and I asked people what their favorite Silly Songs with Larry song from VeggieTales was. And I don't know how familiar you are with VeggieTales.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I asked them, and some people were like, they were all on board. They told me. I even like the guy that runs Uprise, Bubba. We're friends with him, so I was able to stop him and ask him. And some people were like, "Are you with VeggieTales?" I'm like, "No, I'm just some weirdo that wanted to ask a question to get
Yeah.
content." And one of the cool things was, and I tried to use it in the thumbnail, was do you know who Colton Dixon? He's a one of the bigger Christian, like kind of. My wife calls him the Christian Justin Bieber. Like he has that type of style of
Oh,
music.
okay.
And so I had, we work backstage at like just about every Christian festival we go to. So I asked him, and he actually sang one of the songs, so it's in the video.
Okay.
So I try to kind of, and I think it did well, but I still don't have that networking of like knowing who to send it to try to get it, for more people to watch it. Because I mean, I was proud of the video. I thought it was great. It was funny, but it's
And that's the weird thing too about like the internet is that you can have something out there, and then like a year later, like you can
boom.
forget about it.
Yeah.
Not even have a clue. Like what? And then boom, it goes nuts. So I mean, I guess that's kind of the cool thing
It's like a
about
lot
it.
of new music too, like that gets popular on TikTok, and all of a sudden, hey, this song's amazing. It's like, yeah, that song come out like 5-6 years ago,
Yeah, yeah.
and you never heard of it until someone used it in TikTok.
I'm like, I know after the Super Bowl, I was like, I had no idea who this Kendrick Lamar was.
I've
Honest to
heard
God,
of him in high school, but
I thought he was like one of the Kardashians' baby daddy. Like I thought he was the one Kardashian, like the funny one. I don't know.
I don't know. There was a funny
Chloe, I think's the funny one. That one. I thought that was her. I thought that was like her baby daddy, but apparently his name is it? I don't know his name. For some reason, I thought that's who it was. And her baby daddy plays basketball, not a rapper. So that's how,
Oh, I
And
think
so-
I did see something, unless I'm seeing a whole different article today about a basketball player and a woman, and I don't know. Stuff comes up all the time that
Yeah.
all related. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it like you said, it is a grind, and you have to be on it if you're gonna make it as a content creator, especially if you want to do it for a living. For me, I make enough money at my job now, and my wife's making good money now, that it's definitely not something that I see in my future as doing full time. If it happens, it happens, but it's definitely like I get paid enough that this is a hobby that I can invest a good bit of time in.
Mm-hmm.
So
But then again, after you've worked all day, and then you got,
that's,
you know,
that's the
you come
challenge.
home, you got your son, you got your wife, you got family time. Like, how much time do you really want to spend?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
My wife, it's funny, is I can tell when she has more interest in stuff. Like if I'm doing, like I have an idea for like YouTube shorts, like medieval history. I now have a bar, set the camera up on the one side, and do like a obscure medieval history fact.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a quick short video, hopefully does something. She wouldn't care about that. She'd like, okay, go ahead. That, because I had the idea of doing longer videos, but she's like, if I do a short, it would make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, we did this video, her and I did the video, and she's harping on me like, you need to edit it. She's like, I want to see it. So it's, sometimes she's very on board because it has to do with her or something she's more interested in. She's like, get this done. I
Yeah.
want to see it. I think it's gonna be fun. So,
Right.
and she did watch it, and she thought it was hysterical. And I kind of, the way I edited it more razzed her than anything, which I thought was funny. So,
But I didn't realize, like, with my, like, our time out that we've taken with podcasting, like, my husband just said to me, I don't know, it was like, it wasn't very long ago. It was like some of the guards at the jail were asking when we were coming back. I'm like, so you realize that there's like men listening to your wife on their way to work. Like, that's insane to me. Like, that cracks me up. I always thought that, I mean, I knew I had like a pretty decent like male audience, but I didn't realize it was that. And especially whenever I get into it, like then I become kind of recluse. I don't really want to be at the grocery store and you tell me how you felt of something I said.
I
I appreciate you listening.
Yeah.
I totally appreciate you listening, and I don't mind if you send me a message or whatever, but I don't want to talk about it
Afterwards, like I've already done it.
But the thing is, if you caught me in a grocery store, you would probably. That's very few and far between now that Giant has like the curbside pickup. Like, I'm not doing it. All right. Well, I gotta get going.
Yeah, and I think we're probably well over what I thought we would do. We
Yeah.
just get talking.
We are chatty. We're very, very chatty. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, even through the curse of overheating equipment. And,
Totally fine. It's all good. I didn't swear.
No, you didn't.
Look at me.
I don't have to edit this that much.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I might try some new things and like zooming in on, that's what I wanted, 2 cameras for this eventually, but I'm like, well, if this is good enough quality and I can zoom in on both, that's less,
Totally,
I gotta
yeah.
do cheaper.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you coming on again, and
All right.
probably definitely have you come on at another point. We'll talk about something more political whenever I get, established and not losing. I did lose a subscriber before because they subscribed for a specific video, and I know the type of person they are. Not who they are, but just looking at their profile. And then the stuff I posted before, I'm sure they went down, saw it, and it's like, nope. So
Okay. Well,
I got a subscriber and lost him within like 5 days. So happens.
life happens, man.
I think it's hilarious, but whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming on.
Well, thank you. Have a good one. And then Addison coming on.
Yeah,
That'll
her
be
first
fun.
time. So
Don't be nervous,
pop her
girl.
podcast
Don't be
cherry.
nervous. It's all good. It's all good. And they can edit. Anything you say can be edited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.